We are going to be doing a cake called today a Galette des Rois, which is a cake that we eat at a particular time of year, but the best person to introduce it is Maelle, because she's French and I'm English. So there you go. You to go.
Well, it can also be called the Epiphany cake or the King's cake, and it is traditionally shared at Epiphany on the 6th of January, and it celebrates the arrival of the three wise men in Bethlehem. And it's usually composed of a puff pastry cake with a small charm inside it, usually made of ceramic, called the fèves. And it's hidden inside it, so you don't know when you're going to get it, and when you eat it, if you get it, then you wear a crown and you're king or queen, and you have to pick your king or queen depending on, and it's usually filled with cream made from sweet almonds, butter, eggs and sugar, and it's basically to celebrate Jesus' birth and when the three wise men came to give him presents.
Now you know all about it. And there is also a positive side to finding the fèves in the cake, because you wear the crown and everybody has to do what you tell them to for the rest of the day, don't they?
Yeah, and normally this is kind of like a thing. The youngest person in the family, so it would be me, goes under the table, and then they cut out slices, and you'd say this slice is for whoever. And I think it's something to do with the fact that Jesus wasn't born in a bed, but he was born in a manger, so you go under the table. I don't really know.
I think it's a lovely tradition and a lot of fun. We're going to start off by making the filling, which is Frangipane. And in the bowls, we have 90 grams of unsalted butter. We have 20 grams of plain flour, 1 egg, and we have a mixture of 90 grams of icing sugar and 90 grams of ground almonds. Are you going to start by mixing the icing sugar, the ground almonds into the butter? You can do the work today. I'm feeling old and lazy. Okay, so if you want to start and mix that slowly, it's good to use soft butter because it makes it easier, and we've used that type of butter which you can use soft straight from the fridge, as we do with all of our cakes. Now I'm going to add the flour, right, and then I'm going to put in the egg. Right,
so you just mix all of them together?
Yes, and the only reason... No, you don't. You can put them all in together. The only reason I've suggested just starting the icing, sugar and the butter off together is that if you put everything in together, then it starts to just get a little bit unwieldy. Right? Okay, and now that's sufficiently well mixed. This can go straight into the fridge so that we can start and prepare our pastry.
I thought you were going to say oven.
No. We don't want to put it in the oven quite yet. The next stage is we're going to prepare 2 discs of puff pastry, one very slightly larger than the other. We've got some ready rolled all butter puff pastry, but the size of the galette is going to be dictated by 2 things. One, the width of the ready rolled puff pastry is one, but the other thing is the size of your baking sheet. If you find that you don't have a flat baking sheet which is big enough as well, the other thing that you can also use is a pizza tray, which is perfect size, perfect shape, and works really well. The other thing you have to remember when we're doing this is that we need to build the galette either directly onto the tray or onto baking parchment so that we can lift it onto the tray.
So you have to have a flat? Yes,
flat tray. If you use a tray with edges, you need to make sure that the galette will fit inside the edges.
So I open this?
You can, and this is our template, because this is a 24 centimetre diameter plate, and for me it works very well with the baking sheets and also the puff pastry that we've got. So if you unroll it, fantastic. So the first thing we're going to do to it now is, before we even think about cutting out the template, we're going to put a little bit of flour across the top so that the plate doesn't stick. So if you want to do that, and just literally sprinkle it across and just spread it with your fingers a little bit, all right?
More?
Yeah, a little bit more, but not too much. There we go, perfect. Now spread it like that. So we're going to cut the top first. Right, we put our plate on, and the plate is also going to be the size of the base. And we're going to cut the top very slightly larger about 5 millimetres. So if I make the mark here like that,
Yeah.
you want to work your way round
Okay.
and literally just put it in and then pull it round, yeah?
I think I've done a bit too big.
No, that's fine. And even if you've done it slightly too big, it doesn't matter because we can trim it off. And in this instance, a little bit too big is better than a little bit too small.
Should I chop?
No, because the easiest thing now is we're going to peel back the pastry from this side. Yeah, yeah. And you see, this is why it's a good idea to do it on the paper because it just makes it easier. So now we're going to fold this up a little bit like that. I'm going to put a little bit of flour on that.
Magic.
Yeah, so it doesn't stick. And we're going to come back to that. So now we're going to put this in the fridge. What we need to do now with this is we could have got 2 rolls of pastry and we could have cut 2 discs out of 2 rolls, but then that's just wasteful. So we're going to take the trimmings and we're going to roll them out to the size of that so that we can cut the base out. And the base doesn't have to be as attractive, so using the trimmings for that is perfectly fine. The thing that we need to be a little bit careful about though, as we roll it, then it starts to work the pastry and it can become a little bit elastic, so we then need to leave it to rest for 5 minutes before we bake it, otherwise it will shrink. Turn it round a bit, so you start to roll it evenly, push that way. Now we've got something about the right size, yeah? Okay. Okay, so do you want to cut?
Again, 5 millimeters.
Yeah, no, we want to cut it the size of the plate now.
So, like really,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, cool. Well done, thank you. Good. So
satisfying.
it is. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to lift the pastry, and the easy way to do that is to roll it onto your rolling pin and unroll it so that you get no distortion. Right. Now we've got our bottom and we've got the top in the fridge, we can now start to fill it. All right. Start and spoon it onto the top and put it into the middle, right? Because we're going to, yep, please do. And please note that we're building our galette on a piece of baking parchment to make it easier to move around afterwards.
Should I put all of it?
Let's put most of it on and maybe add the last bit if we need it or not. Right. Start in the middle so that we can work it close to the edge. We need to leave a border, a clear border of pastry for the simple reason. Yes, you can start to spread it a little bit, but leave at least 1 centimetre clear, please. Yeah.
Is that about 1 centimetre?
That's a yes. No.
My finger.
No smaller than that, because otherwise we'll have a problem sealing it later. And if we don't seal it properly, the Frangipane will come out during baking. Yeah. Pile it into the middle. Great. And then push it a little bit towards the edge, but keep the bulk of it in the middle, like that. So where are you going to put your fève now?
Okay, close your eyes and say stop.
Stop. Have you poked it
Put it
in?
the wrong way around.
Oh, have you put it upside down?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Do
never
I
mind.
push it in?
Push it in so that it's covered into the... Perfect. Lovely. Good. Now, the other thing we also need to sort out is how we're going to stick the top layer of pastry to the bottom. And so we're going to use egg.
Egg.
Right.
Paintbrush.
Yeah, paintbrush, egg, and a fork. So if you start to whisk the egg up with a fork, just to break it up. One of the problems with egg washing is that the egg tends to get a bit, or stay a bit lumpy, so it brushes unevenly. And one of the things, and this is Dick's top tip of the day, is if you put a little bit of salt into your egg, like that, right, it will break the egg down so it becomes completely liquid and it's much, much easier for brushing. We have our top And we have our base, and we
Good
just,
wash.
yeah, just a little bit of egg wash around the base there.
Okay.
Marvellous. And then we are going to put the top on. And the way to do that is, as we did before, is to roll it.
Another Dick's top tip.
Another Dick's top is to roll it onto the rolling pin so that you can judge. And what it means is your pastry is in the right position and it's not pulled or stressed in any way. Okay?
Beautiful.
So go around with your fingers just around the edge, and you can feel the pastry under the edge, yeah?
Yep.
And you push it so that it seals. Can you see that?
Yep.
Right. So the next thing we need to do is we need to trim it.
Trim which piece?
All right,
What?
so,
Oh, right now.
yeah. So we put our plate over the top.
Yes.
Right.
Should I get the knife?
Yeah, and reach the knife over. And so you want to very quickly cut round, so to the size of the plate, please, yeah? Right.
Staple.
That's good.
I don't know why I said that.
I don't know. Okay. Okay, and then very carefully lift that off the top. So we now have a perfectly round shape. Oops. Now we need to crimp the edge. You can crimp the edge with the knife going around like that, or I take two fingers, a finger and a thumb, push it, and then put my finger in the middle like that. So I just go around and crimp the edges.
Can I just use the knife?
Yeah, you do the knife then, yeah. It's all right. The most important thing here is that the edge is sealed so that when we bake it, the frangipane doesn't come out. Now, we're going to brush egg over it, all right, and then we're going to score the top with a knife to make a pretty pattern.
Oh.
Ah, yes, you see, you didn't know this. So, you're going to make with the egg wash, right up to the edges, please, yeah, and right into those little indentations on the edge as well, yeah. And this, when you bake it, will make it go really lovely, shiny golden brown. Now, when we're scoring, the key is to score the top and not cut through the pastry. So you just hold the edge of the knife and you just use the weight of the knife on the pastry. Can I show you?
Yeah.
So all I'm doing is I'm not pressing. And can you see that?
Yeah.
The point of the knife is doing the lines. And what I thought we could do is if we do parallel lines this way.
Like?
That's right. And then parallel lines the other way. And then we're going to get it straight into the oven. This can be done earlier on in the day, or it can all be done the day before, and then you can bake it the next day. So you don't have to do it and bake
Put
it.
it in the fridge now.
You can just put it in the fridge like this.
Bake it tomorrow.
Okay, but we're going to bake it now. All right, so straight into the oven, and the oven has been preheated. The oven has been preheated. Normally bake it at 180, but we know your oven bakes hot, so we're baking it at
170.
The galette, I believe, is ready to come out because it's been in now for 25 minutes or so. We're going to take it out and we're going to check that it's cooked by poking the skewer in the side and pulling it out. And if it comes out clean, same theory as a cake, then the frangipane is baked. It's cooked through. Right, do your skewering bit on the side, please. Yeah. While it's still hot.
So I put it in the side. Of
Yeah,
this.
good. So push.
Stick
That's
it
right.
in.
Now pull it out. Does it come out clean?
1, it's clean, and 2, it's warm. Ow. It's warm.
It's perfect.
Everywhere.
So that we know it's baked. So we've made our syrup, which is 40 grams of sugar with 20 grams of water, and we boiled it.
Is it brown because you used a golden?
I used a golden caster sugar, and then we just painted over the top like this. And the heat of the galette will evaporate the moisture. So we now need to leave this to cool. Have we got a cooling rack or cooling wire?
Yes, we do.